TOA, Fit Body Forever, and Fit Body Bootcamp communities. What's up, everybody? Robert Linkul with TrainingTheOlderAdult.com. Welcome back. I'm looking forward to sharing some great information with you with a interview of an interviewee. This is Dr. Andrew Huberman, and he is interviewing Dr. Stacy Sims about the benefits of resistance training, jump training, and some other things that women can do as they age. So let's do a little breakdown of this here and see what the good doctors have to share with us. All right, let's go.
What is the most efficient way for a woman older than 50 to train for the maximum health span and lifespan benefits?
10 minutes, 3 times a week, jump training. So this isn't your landing softly in our knees. This is like impact in the skeletal system.
Okay, so that first one, the question basically is, what are your strategies here for aging over 50? Now, I like the answer. I'm not a huge fan of jumping, to be honest with you. There is very good research to support the impact of jump training, how valuable, number one, it is for your type 2 muscle fibers to stay dynamic and explosive. Your Golgi tendon reaction to get the synapse of your muscle fibers to fire quickly and get those muscles to react. It's got to go from your brain to the muscles. They have to react. They have to move quickly. To have all of that happen appropriately to rescue a fall, if you trip or if you catch your toe or if you stumble or if you get off balance, all that has to happen very, very quickly. And it has to happen and the muscle can't tear or pull so hard that it breaks a ligament or a tendon or does some type of damage internally simply because it's contracting forcefully, which has happened. People that don't train have to contract a muscle super, super quick. They catch their toe, they rip their leg forward to try to not fall down, and they tear a quadricep or a hip flexor. So that is a concern, is that as we age, the type 2 muscle fibers do degenerate. Sarcopenia does attack that type of fibered response more than the others, than our type 1, our slow twitch muscle fibers. So jump training will help us maintain that fast, dynamic, explosive reaction. That is true. Once in the air, the impact of you landing, if it's just your body weight and you jump and you land, with gravity, you can land anywhere between 3 to 5 times your body weight. Meaning if you weigh 150 pounds, you could land with 450 pounds of force, maybe up to 600 or 750 pounds of pressure, just depending on how high you jump. And that impact landing back on the ground, if you do so correctly, then it does great things for your bones. Your bones will go, oh, wow, this is a huge impact. The muscles are going to eccentrically decelerate you as you come down and then re-accelerate you as you go up. That's a lot of force to place through the bone. So the bone will have to, due to the SAID principle, it will have to specifically adapt to that imposed demand for sure. And by doing that, it'll create a harder, denser bone. So you can maintain that as you age. The reason that I'm nervous about this is if someone over the age of 50 just listens to this and they go, oh, I need to start jump training, and they just go out and start jumping, they're probably going to get hurt because they are not conditioned for this at all. So you think, okay, what's the least amount of jumping impact that I could go and do? Maybe like jump rope. I'm only jumping like that high. You got to think every time you jump, that's 2.5, 3 times your body weight. Jump and jump and jump and jump. That's a ton of impacts. So really the way I would answer this question if I were her is I would encourage people, what she's going to say next is to resistance train. I would encourage people to do that first and get a foundation of learning to manipulate your body through ranges of motion. Get a pattern of like base foundational strength with specifically an eccentric focus to train the muscles of your body, but specifically your lower body, to eccentrically absorb that impact and then dynamically accelerate it back up, which we can do in the weight room with different tempos, different pieces of equipment dynamically. It doesn't have to be anything fancy, but you can do that. To then at some point when you do leave the ground and you come back down, your body is now used to that amount of force because you've been doing it with load in hand. Now we take the load away and we get to leave the ground with just our body weight. Okay, we're built now to withstand that. Now there's a level of conditioning that you can continue to jump and jump and jump and build that foundation and build the practice of jump training into your regular practice. Once you start that, as with anything else, you need to maintain it. You need to keep doing it on a regular basis. Now, does that look like plyometrics and bounding and that kind of thing? I don't know. It could be different for everybody, but those are options that you could incorporate.
The course of 4 months of this type of training, people have gone from being osteopenic to normal bone density.
Now, if I'm thinking of the same study that she is referencing here, those individuals were resistance training as well. It wasn't just jump training and that's it. They were lifting as well, which I think is, again, another key part of this. But again, I'm loving all of this.
Jump training, heavy resistance training.
Not just resistance training. What was that key part? Heavy resistance training. Great study. They showed 50 plus year old females. I want to say there were like 60 or 70 in these studies as they went through this, 60 or 70 individuals. And they did heavy deadlifts, heavy bench press, heavy squats, heavy RDLs, heavy rows, and heavy overhead press. So 6 lifts we're talking, that's it. And they lifted pretty damn heavy, 80 to 85% of their 1 rep max, like 5 sets of 5, 5 sets of 6, 5 sets of 8, something like that. They lifted heavy. And bone density went up in like 4 months to 6 months, something like that, which is significant. I mean, we're usually talking years to see an increase in bone density, but these individuals, these ladies were perimenopausal, if not menopausal, which is a whole different ballgame considering they don't have the hormones necessarily to help them build that muscle. And yet they were still able to be really successful with this as they went through. Everybody is going to be at different parts of their life, different times of their life, have different hormonal responses. And then some may or may not have been on hormone replacement therapies, who knows, which there's very good research out there to do that. I am a fan of that. But again, talk to your doctor first before you proceed with anything like that. But heavy resistance training. Way to go, doc.
And sprint interval training.
Sprint interval training.
Those are the 3 key things from a training standpoint.
What is the most efficient?
Okay, so sprint training. Now we're talking about getting to a point where you can go out for fast walks, and then eventually that fast walk can kind of turn into like a jog down the track and back. And then that jog can turn into a run, and then that run can turn into sprints. I would love to see people that still have the faculties to do so be able to continue to do sprint training, at least at an agility level. And what I mean by that is, if I'm standing on a field and there's a cone 10 feet that way and a cone 10 feet that way, could I slide over touch, sprint across touch, and then backpedal like a cone drill or a side-to-side drill or a lateral slide shuffle drill or any of these kind of variations of drills where you're gonna slide, shuffle, run, backpedal, any variations like that of just foot and mind coordination, foot and eye coordination. I think all those are huge values for not falling down, for keeping bone density, for building and maintaining muscle mass. Some of the most muscular and the most beautiful framed bodies we have ever seen built in the world of athletics have come from sprinters. Right away, I think of, and again, some of these individuals have utilized additional substances, but you got to keep in mind, they weren't just lifting, they were sprinting all the time. Okay, I'm thinking of Maurice Green, Tim Montgomery, Marion Jones, Allison Felix, Michael Johnson. I mean, there's so many amazing physiques that have been built. Otto Bolden, I mean, Bailey, what's his first name, from Britain. He is super Jack Chamberlain. I mean, some amazing physiques. And Ben Johnson, Carl Lewis, going all the way back. And again, some have been found to be using additional substances. I understand that. My point is even with the use of external or additional supplements, let's say, you have to put in the work. And to build a physique like they build, they just sprint and run all the time. And so obviously that dynamic, explosive response of muscle mass over and over and over again tears fibers in a good way and builds great muscle mass. And I think eventually they get to a point where they're like, my quads and my butt and my glutes and everything are just really, really strong. I just need to lift some weights in my upper body so I don't look disproportionate. Well, now they've got even more muscle mass because remember, muscle mass is not just specific to one action. It's a kinetic chain that reacts everywhere. Just a quick wrap of that. Individuals that bench press and deadlift. They come in and they bench their max. Let's say it's 200 pounds is their max. For 12 weeks, they only did deadlifts for 12 weeks. Came back to bench press, bench 225. And you're like, how did that happen? How did they get stronger at doing an action they didn't train? It's because their entire body is being used when they deadlift. When they do any other action, everything gets used. And so everything by turn gets a little bit stronger. Now, where did they specifically get better at? Well, their deadlifts, of course, got way better, but an exercise they weren't even testing for, or they weren't even in training for, they tested better, right, as they came back to this. This goes to show you that even if you build upper body muscle mass strength, it will help in your full body performance as a runner, as a jumper, as a sprinter, as a thrower, etc. So jump training at some point via progression, okay, number one. Let's put this in the right order. Resistance training, I would say 6 to 12 weeks, somewhere in there. Get really good at eccentric lifting. If you don't know what that is, watch one of my other videos. Then start your jump training. And as you get better at jump training, let's say another 6 to 8 weeks, then start to build into sprints. But I could not agree with her more. I think these are fantastic. Let me put her on screen here. I think these are fantastic components here for women to consider as they are aging, to maintain and build and create. I'm trying to find a good picture over here. Trying to find a potential opportunity for the best build and frame and aging as athletically, as healthy as possible as they go. I think these are great strategies. So it's awesome for Dr. Stacy Sims. I will tag and put her Instagram in the comment section or in my description down below so you can start to follow her. She is another sarcopenia warrior, if you will, out there helping spread the word for women and men, everybody along, but specifically for the ladies out there. Don't be afraid to lift in weights. Don't be afraid to lift heavy, because it is definitely of value for you long term. I am Robert Linkul, trainingtheolderadult.com. Thank you all for being here. I appreciate you. Continue to fight your good fight against sarcopenia, and we will see you in the next one. Take care.